Hello everyone and thanks for hanging out with me. Today we're talking about another charging session. Yes, who's excited? I'm excited. I tested the Kia EV6 at Ionity from 4 to 100% after 130 kilometers an hour range test, and the charging curve is amazing. I've never tested an EV that can charge so amazing. I was blown away when I looked at the charging curve afterwards, and I looked how many kilowatt hours get into that battery. Amazing. The charging, the range test wasn't that amazing. Not a lot of range and high consumption, but if in the summer you can charge this into the battery with no problem. Oh my god. I have tested the Ioniq 5 2 years ago and it wasn't perfect weather. I got a good charging curve, but not like this. And it's been 2 years, so maybe the software update that Kia EV6 and Ioniq 5 got also made the charging curve better. I also tested the Ioniq 6 2 months ago or so, and also there it was raining, it wasn't that warm, and I didn't preheat the battery. And the Kia EV6, the test that I just did a few days ago, it was just perfect condition. It was warm, like I said, did the 130 kilometers an hour range test, so the battery was warm. I think it was perfect. And today I want to look at the curve. First we watched the charging session, I filmed all, and then we'll look at the curve, then we'll compare it to Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, also how much range goes in there. Then we're gonna look if Kia EV6 and Ioniq 6 would have the same charging curve, which they have, so if they charge at in the same conditions. How much more range can go into Ioniq 6 because it's just way more efficient. And then I want to compare it to an Id.3 Pro S, because that's a good EV with a good charging curve and good consumption, but I want to see how much more range you can get into the Kia EV6 in the same time. So let's start with the charging session. It goes immediately up to 220 kilowatt, and it started at 4% and we already at 14 after 3 minutes. About 20% after 4 minutes. 230 kilowatt at 30%, still going up. I have to talk so fast. And it goes up to a peak of 237 kilowatt, maybe even 8. Now we have at the 7, and then it went down at 51% to 190 kilowatt. Oh my god. It's limited to 250 amps, and then we have another step down. After 15 minutes we are at 67%, which are charged over 50 kilowatt hours into this battery, and now we're almost at 80%. And look at it, 78, 79, 80% after 20 minutes, and we're still above 125 kilowatt. Here at 84, 83%, the charging power drops extremely down to 8-9 kilowatt. The battery is being cooled, but just for 2 minutes or so, and then it went up to 125, and then you get a normal charging curve where it gradually goes down from 70 kilowatt down to at the end it's 12 kilowatt, and this is from 87, 88% state of charge. So when you charge to 80%, extremely fast and so many kilowatt hours. Is it much or many? I don't know. It's just amazing. And now we can see it's going down and down and down. And the charging session is done after 46 minutes. From 4 to 100%. Nobody charges to 100% Ionity, but to 80%. Oh my god. And with 80% in the summer, you still get your 250 kilometers of range. In the winter, a bit less. But look at this, 80 kilowatt hours charged in this time. And if you want to support the channel, I have a Patreon link and also channel membership here on YouTube. You get early access to videos and information and new cars I get and stuff. I always try to keep my Patreons and channel members happy. And I also sell merch if you like this. There's also a t-shirt with a tiny logo if you don't want the big one. It helps a lot. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. So I put the charging curve in a little graph here, and as you can see right away in a bit more detail so you can see it better and we can look at it slowly, it goes up to at around 47%. I thought it was 51%. 6% when it went down. Well, I only do this graph every minute, so every minute I'd write it down. It would be nice to have a nice tool. I don't have it. I have to get that at some point. Goes down to 190 kilowatt, peak was 237, goes up again a tiny bit. Then we have this little curve going down to 121 kilowatt. Oh my God, that's, I mean, think of it, that's almost my peak that I have with my ID.3 for a very short time. And then it goes down. And then here at 83 to 80, what is this? 85%. We have this little dip where the battery is being cooled, only charging with 8-9 kilowatt, so the cooling can get a hold of the battery. It's too hot. I mean, we put so much power in there, and then you have this gradual going back. Look at that charging curve, just amazing. And now let's compare it to the other cars. Like I said, I did Ioniq 5 here in blue 2 years ago. I don't know if this is an old curve. It was in June, but it was not a warm day. And I did also 130 kilometers an hour range test. But because of a strong rain, I had very high consumption, over 300 watt hours per kilometer. And that's why I think the battery was warm, but it was 2 years ago. Then in yellow we have that EV6 that I just did a few days ago, and in red we have the Ioniq 6 that I did 2 months ago, where the battery wasn't in perfect conditions. It still went up over 200 kilowatt. The battery was not preheated, and as you can see, it's till, what is that, 66%. It's above all the other two cars. Then it goes a bit under. And the Ioniq 5, by the way, also had little drops to cool the battery twice, but not to 8-9 kilowatt. It was once to 89 kilowatt and once to 121 kilowatt. Then it went back up to 170. I don't know if this curve, like I said, is because of how the battery was at that day, or that Hyundai and Kia worked on the software and they're doing it now differently. But still, look at that. All three cars are charging amazing, but the charging system with the EV6 was just outstanding. Then here I have a fun little curve. It's the Kia EV6 in red, and in blue is the Volkswagen ID.3 Pro S, which doesn't charge bad. With the new charging curve with ID software 3.0, you get a peak of 177 kilowatt. And you can see it stays up, but this is the normal charging curve that we know, peak and then gradually going down. But even with the peak, it's always way under the EV6. But ID.3 has way less consumption. But if we look at the curve, so in here I have range added in time, and in blue is the ID.3 Pro S, in yellow is the EV6, and in red is the Ioniq 6, but not with my test that I had charging test. If I give it the same charging, which it should be capable of as the EV6, but it has lower consumption. So the Kia EV6 in my test had 250 watt hours per kilometer average consumption at 130 highway test. Ioniq 6 had 210 and ID.3 Pro S has 218. And you can see how much range can be added. Let's move this over, and then you can see, oh, here you can see it very well. After 10 minutes, ID.3 had put 111 kilometers of range in there, Ioniq 6 167, EV6 140. And if it goes on, after 12.5 minutes, you added 200 kilometers of range, highway range, not daily driving range, highway range, where you drive 130 in the Ioniq 6, and after 20 minutes, almost 300 kilometers. In the ID.3, that takes 42 minutes for 200 kilometers. The difference is 10 minutes that you put range in there. And you notice that when you're driving, like I said, I drove with the EV6 3 times to Munich. I did a range test once, and every time when I went to Munich, for example, it's 200 kilometers away. I charged on the way back. I had enough range to drive almost 300 kilometers. It was because I drove a bit in the city, not only highway, but I also drove a lot of times more than 130. But every time I plugged in, the charging was so incredibly, amazingly fast. I didn't only filmed one session, but I just noticed how much the state of charge goes up in no time. It was very reliable in the 2 weeks that I had the car. Very impressed. Kudos to Kia and Hyundai for making such an amazing charging platform. But that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and take care. See you soon. Bye.